Congratulations, Patricia.
Thank you. What an incredible honor.
Thank you. Who has been your biggest inspiration for this role?
Oh, for this role. I feel like I see a lot of Joyce in the world, all over. And I think Joyce is a little bit of an invisible person in the world. I feel like she has low-grade depression, and I think all of America's had a lot of low-grade depression for a couple years now. But it was so exciting to work for Showtime on this because I never once heard this refrain that I've heard throughout my career, which is, but is she likable enough? But is that attractive enough? Yeah, that's what she really looks like, but let's make her look like this. Like, I felt so free. Part of that came directly from Showtime, none of those kind of boundaries or none of that input. And a lot of it also came from Ben and from Benicio and Paul and Eric Lang, my other co-star, who were all very supportive. And
question over here. Great speech. Congratulations. But speaking of boundaries, though, there was an F-bomb.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I know. You can't take it back, can you?
Yeah, it happens, right?
Yeah, I didn't plan that. It was an unplanned F-bomb. Yes. Thank you. I'm very sorry, though. I know this is a very elegant occasion. And I'm sorry, what? Yeah, it does. And dental dramas are true. Trust me.
Hey, Patricia Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
You shot in the actual prison. How did that help inform your role?
It was really interesting. The woman who took over for my character, Tilly Joyce, in the tailor shop, they brought us into the tailor shop while the prisoners were in there walking around with these big shears and equipment. They said, once we bring you in one way, we have to take you out. We can't bring you back through because they could hold one of you hostage or something could happen. And the woman who started to run the shop after Joyce took us to the back room where they supposedly had this affair and so on. And then a couple weeks later, she got arrested for having an affair in that same back room. And what you felt being in that prison was, first of all, this prison was built at the turn of the century. You're walking down halls, and they're like dead ends, and you don't know what's around the corner. It's really cold in the winter. There's people with untreated mental illness. It's scary to work in there, and it's scary to be a prisoner in there. And you start to see how important this kind of web of survival becomes between all of you. And every guard I talked to in there was saying, or a person who worked there, I'm counting the days till my retirement. I'm in this for my retirement. And this whole building was looming in the middle of this town, and the whole main street was closed down, and all the industry was gone, and they were all depending on this prison. And just looking at the prison complex in America, and the intensity of the prison system on everybody involved was really interesting.
Patricia, over here in the back, you're such a big feminist, and that's amazing about you. And I was curious if you feel that Hollywood is making a lot of progress in giving women and minorities top positions behind the camera as well as in the front.
Well, I think the Annenberg Institute just did a big report, and it wasn't that great, the results of that. However, I'm really glad to see that some of these films have been giving opportunities, and I think Hollywood always responds when they see so much revenue coming from it. So I think diversity has definitely started to pay off for Hollywood, and it probably always would have. So I'm hoping to see more of a trend towards that. But it's not just Hollywood. When I was talking about equal pay, I was talking about 98% of all industries. And we have a lot of moms out there that are sole breadwinners or primary breadwinners for families. So we have to look at equal pay and opportunity and being in the boardroom and managerial positions and decision-making positions across the board. But I am excited about how many women we have coming into the House and coming into more positions of power. And I hope in the future, when I grew up, if somebody asked me a riddle and they said, you're injured in an accident, and the doctor comes in and says this. I would always assume that doctor was a man when I was a little girl. So I'm hoping the world's changing so that we see senators and we see directors and DPs as women as well.
What also seems to be changing in the middle, hello, is more roles for women over 40. Can you speak to that?
Well, I was so excited about this part. I mean, I never thought I would get a part like this in middle age. I'm 50 years old. I get to play a woman without a typical body type in Hollywood, who's a sexual person, unapologetically sexual, complicated, wants love. And I have friends who don't have the typical body type. They're bigger women. And one of them has said to me very clearly, hey, I really want to thank you for this project, everyone involved, because it's the first time I, as a big woman, felt like I'm allowed to be a sexual being in not a fetishized or a joke of a way. And I think that's important, because if you look at America, that's really America.
Patricia, congratulations, Jeannie Wolf.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic portrayal.
Thank you.
You have, as long as I know you, you have, punched through, at least tried to speak your mind, tried to pick roles, and not worry about what other people thought. Where did that come from? Where did this strength come from? And do you get shaken off that from time to time?
Thank you. My mom was a teacher, a poet, and a civil rights activist, and my dad was an actor. So they all taught us that all of these things are a part of who we are, and I think to be an actor, you also have to feel what's happening somewhat in the world with mankind and have empathy. So it was an important part of our growing up. We were going to demonstrations, we were on picket lines, our parents took us to do those things. And my sister Alexis is a transgender hero, activist. My sister Rosanna does a lot of work in sex trafficking. My brother David has done a lot of work for prison reform and also for feeding homeless kids over weekends when they don't have food at school. My brother Richmond worked in Haiti and did a lot of relief work with us there, so I'm really proud of my whole family.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Back to second route.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Congratulations. We go from here.
Wrong way.
Yeah, it is.